I ruined my life by being brutally honest, and I'm finally realizing that I'm just a bad person. I didn't realize I was the villain of my own life until I saw my sister's face when I told her exactly how much I hated her wedding dress. That sounds small, doesn't it? A brutally honest sibling moment. But it wasn't a moment. It's been my entire life. People always say they want the truth. They swear by it. Just be real with me, they say. But I've learned that the truth is rarely a gift, usually, it's just a weapon you haven't learned how to aim yet. I grew up in a house where honesty was a religion. My dad was a trial lawyer, and my mom was a high school principal. In our house, I don't know wasn't an answer, and a white lie was treated like a felony. If I didn't like the dinner my mom spent 2 hours cooking, I was expected to say, "It's dry, Mom," rather than "It's great." They thought they were raising a person of integrity. In reality, they were raising someone who didn't know how to protect people's feelings. By the time I hit my mid-20s, I had a reputation. I was the reliable friend. The one you go to if you want to know if your boyfriend is cheating or if your bangs look terrible. I took pride in it. I thought I was being a good person by refusing to participate in the fake social niceties everyone else used. Then I met Mark. Mark is, the kind of man who moves through the world like he's trying not to wake a sleeping baby. He's gentle, soft-spoken, and incredibly sensitive to other people's vibes. When we started dating, he told me he loved how refreshing I was. He said he never had to guess what I was thinking. "It's a relief," he told me over coffee 3 months in. "I've spent my whole life walking on eggshells around my mother. With you, the floor is solid." I should have warned him. The floor isn't just solid, it's concrete. And if you fall on it, you bleed. The problems started small. A year into the relationship, we moved in together. You don't realize how many lies keep a household running until you stop telling them. "Do you mind if my brother stays the weekend?" Mark asked one Tuesday. "Yes," I said. "He's messy, he drinks all our expensive bourbon, and he makes me feel like I have to entertain him in my own house. I'd prefer he stayed at a hotel." Mark flinched. "Oh. I told him it would probably be fine." "Well, you lied to him then," I replied. "And now you're asking me to validate that lie." He didn't invite his brother. But for the next 3 days, there was a tightness in his shoulders. I noticed it, but I didn't apologize. Why would I? I told the truth. Then there was the promotion. Mark worked in graphic design and had been passed over for a lead role. He came home devastated, looking for comfort. "They said I lack assertiveness," he sighed, sitting at the kitchen island. "Do you think that's true?" "I feel like I work harder than anyone there." "You do work hard," I said, leaning against the counter. "But you are also a pushover, Mark. You let people take credit for your ideas because you're afraid of confrontation. So, yeah, they're right. You aren't a leader yet." He didn't eat dinner that night. He went for a long walk and came back with red eyes. I felt a pang of guilt, but I shoved it down. I thought, he needs to hear this so he can grow. I thought I was being his partner. I didn't realize I was being his auditor. The midpoint of our relationship, the moment everything shifted, happened at my sister Sarah's engagement party. Sarah is the opposite of me. She's all soft edges and polite lies. She'll tell you she loves your gift even if she's already returning it in her head. We've always clashed, but she's my sister. At the party, I was sitting in the corner with Mark when my mom came over, looking stressed. She leaned in and whispered, "Don't tell Sarah, but your dad and I are having a really hard time covering the catering deposit. The business is down this quarter." I nodded. I kept that secret. Because here's the thing about me, I don't volunteer information, but if I'm asked a direct question, the truth comes out like a reflex. Later that night, Sarah was glowing. She'd had a few glasses of champagne. She pulled me aside. "Isn't this amazing? Mom and Dad are being so generous. They told me they had a banner year and wanted to go all out for the wedding. I'm so lucky, right?" I looked at her. I could see Mark watching me from across the room. He knew that look on my face. He started walking toward us, his hand outstretched as if to catch a falling glass. "They're actually struggling, Sarah," I said. The words felt like lead. "Mom just told me they can't even cover the catering deposit. They're lying to you because they don't want to ruin your moment, but they're drowning." The silence that followed was deafening. Sarah's face didn't just fall, it shattered. She looked at our parents across the room, then back at me, her eyes filling with tears of humiliation. "Why would you tell me that right now?" she whispered. "Because you said you were lucky they had a banner year," I said, my heart starting to race. they didn't. I didn't want you to live in a fantasy. Sarah didn't scream. She just walked away. Mark caught up to me in the car. He didn't start the engine. He just sat there, hands on the wheel, staring at the dashboard. You enjoyed that, he said quietly. What? No, I didn't. It was awkward and horrible. No, Mark turned to look at me, and for the first time I saw genuine coldness in his eyes. You liked the power of it. You use the truth as a way to be the most important person in the room. You think it makes you superior. But you're just mean, Claire. You're just a mean person who found a way to justify it. That night changed everything. I started questioning my own code. Was I being honest, or was I being a bully? I tried to change. For a week, I tried to bite my tongue. But it felt like physical pressure in my chest. When Mark asked if I liked the new song he wrote, and it sounded derivative and boring, the silence felt like I was choking. It's fine, I managed. You hate it, he said, not even looking up from his guitar. I can hear the truth vibrating off you. Just say it. It sounds like everything else on the radio, Mark. It's not special. He stopped playing. He didn't argue. He just packed his guitar and went to sleep on the couch. The climax came 3 weeks later. We were at a dinner party with Mark's coworkers. His boss, a man named Dave who was notoriously full of himself, was holding court about his philanthropy work. He was talking about a trip he took to build houses, but it was clear he spent most of the time at a resort. Everyone was nodding and smiling. Mark was laughing at Dave's jokes, trying to rebuild his standing at the firm. Dave looked at me. And what about you, Claire? Mark says you're the most honest person he knows. What do you think of the project? Mark's hand found mine under the table. He squeezed it. It wasn't a romantic squeeze. It was a plea. It was a please, for the love of God, just lie. I looked at Dave. I looked at his $2,000 watch. I thought about the photos he'd shown of him posing with underprivileged kids while holding a cocktail. I think it's a tax write-off for you, I said. The table went dead silent. And I think you're more interested in the savior narrative than the actual houses. Mark told me you're a narcissist who needs constant validation, so I'm sure this story works well for you. I felt Mark's hand go limp. I hadn't just told the truth about Dave. I had betrayed Mark. Mark had told me those things in confidence, in the safety of our bed, venting after a hard day. I had taken his private vulnerability and turned it into a public execution. We didn't even make it home. Mark pulled the car over 2 blocks from the boss's house. Get out, he said. Mark, get out of the car, Claire. I walked home. It took 2 hours. When I got there, Mark was throwing a duffel bag into his trunk. I'm done, he said. I can't live like this. I can't trust you. Trust isn't just about not lying, Claire. It's about knowing that your partner has your back. You don't have anyone's back. You only have your own ego. I was just being, if you say honest, I will lose my mind, he snapped. You aren't honest. You're a coward. You're too scared to do the hard work of being kind, so you hide behind the truth because it's easier to destroy things than to build them. He left. That was 4 months ago. Since then, my life has been quiet. My sister doesn't call me. My parents are civil, but distant. I've been seeing a therapist, someone I picked specifically because her bio said she was direct. Last session, I told her about the dinner party. I expected her to analyze Mark's reaction or Dave's narcissism. Instead, she looked at me and asked, Claire, why is your truth always negative? I sat there, stunned. What do you mean? In all the stories you tell me, she said, the truth you feel compelled to share is always a criticism. It's always a flaw. You never feel compelled to tell someone they're secretly more talented than they realize. You never feel forced by your integrity to tell your sister how much you admire her resilience. You only use the truth to take people down a peg. Why is that? I didn't have an answer. I still don't. I realized that the truth wasn't a condition I was suffering from. It was a shield. If I was always the one pointing out the ugly truth, then I was the one in control. If I judged everyone else first, their judgments of me wouldn't hurt as much. I'm lonely now. I go to work, I come home, and I talk to no one. I want to text Mark. I want to tell him I'm sorry. But the truth is, the real, honest truth, I'm not sure I know how to be any other way. I'm afraid that if I stop being the girl who tells the truth, there's nothing left inside me but silence. I ruined my life by being real. And the most honest thing I can say right now is that I'd give anything to be a little bit fake if it meant having someone to come home to. I'm sitting in my apartment tonight, the fan spinning in the background, listening to the silence. I think I'm finally starting to understand, the truth doesn't set you free. It just leaves you standing alone in an empty room.